I like Mondays. Why are you playing music that says I don't like Mondays? Let me hear it a little bit. That should get us in trouble.
Keep it under 15 seconds.
All right, cut. We like Mondays here. Enemies of the State, Tom Trento.
That's an interesting song, actually.
What is the background with that?
It's actually interesting. It's about the author of the
Wait,
piece.
we should put it out to the audience. They can call us right now. Actually, they can. You can tweet us at the United West.
Yes.
We
what
don't
the history
say
is.
that enough. Yeah, what is the history of I Don't Like Monday song?
It was written by the Boomtown Rats, and it was about a Georgia State University campus shooting, which killed kids and people.
When was that? Like
Back in
recently?
1979.
Oh, no, a long time ago.
It killed 2 adults and injuring 8 children. And they said the person who shot them, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to lionize her, but said that the reason she shot those people was because she didn't like Mondays. I guess this should liven up the day.
Wow. That's a nice way to start the show.
That's a good way to start the show.
Yep.
But we love Mondays here. Tom Trento, your host at 40. What's the answer?
Subtract 1.
Subtract
407. 407 or 6. No, it's 407 right now.
Right.
In the afternoon. On again, just a nice, cool, brisk
Monday.
Monday.
It's
Florida.
beautiful outside.
We had another phenomenal performance by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, woohoo! Yeah, yeah, go Fins.
My team, for all of you
Frickin'
football
Dolphins.
fans, all of you football fans out there, I'm a Denver Bronco. Dolphins used to live in Denver, great city. Used to be a great city. Now it's becoming a rat hole, leftist.
Yo, Holmes, but we're all
Easy,
coming there,
easy,
man.
easy.
They love us there. They don't bust our nuts or nothing.
You're not kidding. Denver used to have one of the highest rates of suicide out of any major city in the United States. That may have increased. You know why?
Why?
Because it's got this allure that it is a real piece of paradise on earth. So you go there thinking, okay, I'm going to geographically relocate and my troubles will not follow me. And you come to paradise, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And then you see you still have those nagging damn issues, those problems, whatever they may be.
Paying your rent.
Ain't no answer here. Ba-boom. And you check out. Really sad. Plus, the average age is about 28 years old.
And it's
that's
cold.
Reversed here. 82 years old. There, it's 28 years old. No, Damon, you're a single young white male, right? Yeah, you won't fit in over there. But Pancho Gonzalez.
Yo, Holmes, we're loving it, man. They let us all in.
Yeah, they let us all
The
in.
president's going to have some sign-ups so we could get all the free stuff. It's pretty cool, man. And it's not that far. We're like straight up from the border.
But they did something very, very bad, and I'm sure you agree with this, Pancho. They legalized that evil weed.
Yo, Holmes, that's fantastic, man. There's more jobs for us.
All right, enemies of the state, folks, here on Monday morning. We've got all kinds of things going on. On Monday mornings, we, let's just say we don't prepare like we normally do on other days.
We do. We're always prepared.
We want it fresh. We want to just kind of approach these things, and I talked to the guys, see where they were over the weekend, what's been going on, what the heck's going on in the world, and you kind of get it. First cut. This is the first cut. At 4:09 in the afternoon, Tom Trento, WSBR, AM on the radio, but as you know, we're also on theunitedwest.org. You can watch the show. You ought to watch the show. And when I watch the reruns, because once we are on at 4 o'clock Eastern, whether it's on the radio or internet or iHeartRadio or teapartycommunity.com, we leave it up on our website because a lot of people are working 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they can't watch the show, so they go home.
There are some people left in the country with normal jobs.
Yes,
they are.
But they go home in the evening, and I do this at times. And on DirecTV, I go to the TV's hooked up to the internet, like most people have
Yes,
their
yes, it
TVs
is.
that are with it. And I go in DirecTV to extras.
Yeah.
Click down, you hit guide first,
All right.
then extras. We should do like a little
Yeah,
Tutorial.
little
Yeah.
training video. Right?
hit extras, and then you make a right-hand turn on extras. You go over to YouTube, and then what they need to know, this is a problem. We should tell them every day. They need to know the name of the show. You plug that in, just type it in on your remote. If the show today is called Manic Monday, you type in Manic Monday, ba-boom,
Right.
shows up, and there we are, HD, live and in color.
Or you can
coming
just
at
pull up our playlist every day. That's the same thing.
It's a little harder.
Well,
that
go to
way.
the UnitedWest.org and do it that way. That's
you
the
can-
easiest way to do
Well,
it.
I don't know.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if you can play directly off of that on DirecTV.
Come on, let's
Oh,
get
come
on with the
on.
damn show here.
No, but we're
No,
telling
this is
people
important.
how to watch the
Well, a lot of people, yeah.
Because you can't really, once you get to the website, you can't really navigate around.
Yep.
That's the problem. You don't have a cursor.
Well, there's a couple new things that are really cool out there.
Kuro? You got
Roku,
Kuro?
Roku is one of them.
Roku.
And also, there's a little, they sell them at Walmart now, the little sticks that go in the side of your computer, and you actually play your computer screen directly off your computer.
That's
off
cool.
the TV, I mean. So
Get with it, folks, so you can watch this stuff. But why? Why are we doing all of this? As we say
Right.
every week, every day we're on the air, we're here to save America, save Israel, save the West. When the shooting starts, it's already started. When the battle lines are drawn, when the bad guys, the jihadi zombies, break out of the Levant and start taking other territory or start unleashing all hell, holy hell, all over the place. It's going to come down to the United States and Israel taking a firm stand against Islamic Jihad, and Obama left. These groups have joined together. We may even have some stuff for you on this today. The Obama hard left. Let's establish, so we're warning America about what's going on, but let's establish for the sake of our good friends out there listening and watching, and we want you to spread the word about the show. We're growing more and more and more. We're going to pull it up somewhere on the show and tell you exactly how many days until 8 November 2016. That is our timeline to get everything right so we elect a president in the United States and other officials who are pro-American, first time in 8 years it'll be, and pro-Israel. That's the uniting of Western civilization.
Unlike this bastard in the White House now.
How would you classify this president? If you had to take, if we were, what a great event Saturday, wasn't it?
I was gonna ask you to talk about it. It was one of the best things I've ever been to, live in person in my life.
Let's show the video.
What
wait,
video?
what video?
There is no video.
It was so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. They wouldn't let us tape it. It was so good.
But we taped it with our brains.
That's right.
And we will replay it for you folks. What are we talking about, Mark?
Gary Berntsen, the James Bond of America, if you will. He was giving some fascinating stories.
He would crush that limey bastard.
Yeah, he would. He would. He actually, he'd probably scalp him and use him as a,
He would.
yeah,
He would
whatever.
kick James Bond's little
He'd
girl.
chew him up and spit him out.
Gary Berntsen was at Tea Party, Fort Lauderdale. Danita Kilcullen, Jack Gillis run Tea Party, Fort Lauderdale with a great crew. They're not the only ones. They got a lot of hardcore workers. It was the 301st. For all of you folks
And
out
the
there
place was
saying-
packed, by the way.
The place was packed out. Nick's Italian Restaurant. We did a little commercial on that. Thank you for coming, everybody. Jack and Danita started Tea Party Fort Lauderdale 301 Saturdays ago. This was the 301st contiguous meeting. You know what that means, Schmucky? Contiguous?
Yes, it means without interruption.
Right, dude. Way to go. Every
I
Saturday,
might be old, but I've still got a little bit left.
Every Saturday, that's what I hear at the club. That's what they say over there. Every Saturday, they have been meeting. They have a core of men and women that go on a corner with American flags and signs and protest or support something. And then those folks come. There's a guest speaker every week. And this week was Gary Berntsen, former station chief, top cop at for the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, in a particular country, in a particular assignment, at a particular embassy. 3 times he did that in his illustrious 30-year career. He came and wowed the place. First of all, he did a sort of a breakdown of how the CIA works, the 4 different divisions. The analysis division, the foreign information division, foreign spies, internal spies, technology, science and technology. And he wove all of this together. And then he broke out into some of the stories, his hunt for Osama Bin Laden. Really fascinating. We'll get into pieces of that. There's Gary Berntsen right now on your screen. He is an amazing American. Remember the guys on horseback? If we can pull up the special forces who were on horseback in 2001. I think it was October 2001. Remember we got bombed in September 11th, 2001, and within like 30 days, 6 weeks.
Yeah, the amazing part of that whole story was everybody was saying it was going to take a year to respond to the 9/11 attacks. You know, they got it down to as quick as like 6 months.
No. Oh yeah.
They got down to as quick as 6 months, and then they called Gary in and his crew and
Cofer Black, his boss.
Cofer Black, his boss, says we'll have him there in 6 weeks.
Now this is in high level meetings with President George Bush. Bush didn't want to wait. He didn't want to wait 6 months.
He goes 6 weeks. I'll have troops
I'll
in there.
have people on the ground, and those people on the ground looked like what? They looked like remember the guys on horseback and
maybe if we had a crack crew to show us what they did look like. Oh, we do.
People can imagine in their mind.
They don't have to imagine. They can just look at it.
There they go. Look at that for you folks driving at 17 minutes after 4 o'clock. We put up on our screen because we are primarily a television show simulcast on the radio. No, second, and we want you to go and look at it. This is a cool picture. We have. Where's the guy? Where'd he go?
I'm just resizing it. Go ahead.
This is a very cool picture. It's a soldier on a horse with a bunch of this looks like it could be out of the 18 or 1700s. And it's not Arabia because they have a different kind of dress.
Right.
They have that further Eastern Asian dress, Afghanistan. And you go, what are these guys doing there? Well, Gary Berntsen headed up Operation Jawbreaker. Go to Amazon.com.
Got to get the book, yeah.
Order the book Jawbreaker. You read it, right? Have you read it yet?
No.
You got to read it. I got it somewhere around here.
It's floating around here.
I read the book when it first came out. He wrote it, I think, around 2005. And Operation Jawbreaker was to break the jaw of the Taliban. And how did they do it? What was Gary Berntsen and the CIA's plan? And this is great background information for the ideological war, folks, that we're in now with Islamic State, with Islamic Jihad, with Obama and his leftist anti-American ideologues. We're going to look at what Gary Berntsen did with Operation Jawbreaker, extrapolate a couple of principles of information warfare, and equip you as activists to save America, save Israel, and save the West. What did he do? We'll go through this for a few minutes. Be a good exercise.
Well, one of the first things, he went out and recruited a bunch of people in the area to help him out. And I forget the guy's name. Who was the one with the camera?
Mashoud.
Mashoud.
The Lion of Tangier, I think it was. The Lion of the Valley that was right there. It was Mashoud, Mashood. He was actually a very good Northern Alliance anti-Taliban fighter.
Right.
And they had to knock him off because he had the capability, Mashoud, to rally the Northern Alliance, which was simply a pain in the butt for the Taliban. They were going to be very difficult to defeat the Taliban. But you had to knock off Mashoud in order to allow the Taliban the operating room to control Kandahar and other areas of Afghanistan. And Osama bin Laden knew that once he hit the Trade Center, Twin Towers, there was going to be some sort of response. And he did not want the United States using Mashoud in an effort against the Taliban. So 2 days before, on the 9th of September, in a surreptitious operation, essentially a what do you call it? A suicide operation. Massoud agreed to a newspaper, a news interview, TV interview, and they checked the guys who came into the little cabin where he was. They checked them for bombs and all that. Little did they know that a bomb was hidden where?
In the camera.
In the camera. So the camera operator gave his life as a suicide bomber to kill Massoud, and that happened. Now, once that happened, the people who were in the know, like Gary and others, knew that something's up, man. Something's coming down if they killed Massoud like that. And then next thing we know, 2 days later, Trade Center gets hit. Gary gets a phone call. Where was he at that point?
He was in South America. Was it Peru? Uruguay.
What just happened over the weekend in Uruguay?
Oh, it just so happens that 6 Gitmo detainees were released to Uruguay, delivered by one of our U.S. Navy ships.
Well, and also the
Uruguay got to do with anything.
Did you see that? I sent that out.
One of the funny stories Gary was telling about the 5 guys who they just... Well, no, that wasn't the guys at Uruguay. That was the 5 they released for Bergdorf. They had the 5... Gary captured these 5 guys.
Several of them, yes.
So not all of them, like two or
three of them. Yeah.
2 or 3 of them. Well,
His
I said
team,
captured
yeah.
these guys. I meant in general. You know, he caught 3 of them, and he had one of them there, and they were debriefing him, and they're checking him out through his clothes and everything. So they'd take his shoes off, and when they had him take his shoes off, he had his toenails all painted pink.
He had pink toenails.
What are you implying? That sounded very Islamophobic.
When you're in Guantanamo Bay, you want to brighten things up. You want to do a little decor, a little decoration in your drab Arabic, non-Sharia. I mean, totally Sharia, non-beautiful deal. Yeah.
We got to do a sex on an Islam thing.
Afghanistan.
I tell you what. Go ahead.
Afghanistan, where boys are women at 8 and men at 12.
What's with Uruguay, though? How do you say it? Uruguay. Is it really a country?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a real country?
Yes.
Is it really? Oh, okay. Gary was stationed there for a while, Uruguay. But
Not
why,
long enough.
Why did these 5 get sent there? That's a question.
Because they hate America.
Uruguay does
Yes,
now.
because they hate America, and they will...
Something's going on, though. You don't just pick Uruguay. Let's see if we can
Well, you don't
find
just
out.
pick Bo Bergdahl to trade for 5 people either. There has to be a certain amount of America hating going on.
200 countries in the world. You go, we're going to release 5 guys from Guantanamo, and hopefully they're rehabilitated, and we're going to send them to 200 countries. Uruguay, something's up with that. We need to check that out.
Well, they could work. They're close enough to work with the other South American countries and Central American countries that hate us, like Venezuela. I'm sure they listen. Iran has a hand in everything devious going on in South America. So it's quite natural.
That could be the connection. It could be Iran, Valerie Jarrett, President Obama to Gitmo, send them to Uruguay. They're going to wind up in Venezuela. That could be, as we know, folks.
That could be definitely
at 24
possible.
minutes after 4 o'clock. If you don't know this, for about 2 years now, there's been regular airplane flights. You can go to Tehran, capital of Iran. You can buy a ticket to fly directly to Caracas, Venezuela. You can go right to Caracas, and airplanes are going back and forth, and Iranians are getting off in Caracas and helping the Venezuelans just learn about culture and life and all of that sort of thing. And if indeed the Iranians get a nuclear bomb, as we've been reporting on a lot, we had Andy Bostom on not too long ago, and he's making an argument that the United States ought to bomb Iran right now. If they get a weapon, it's just a matter of time before it finds its way in Venezuela.
Yep.
And that's just a hop, skip, and a jump to Miami. It's not that far away.
Now, in fact, there's been a lot of back and forth traffic between Venezuela and Miami that's been criminal activity. If you remember, there were diplomats that were dragged right off the plane in Miami about a year or two ago with undeclared cash. And Iranian connections.
And folks listening out there, we specialize in national security issues, but you've got to run these trial operations in order to vet out, test out the soft spots, weaknesses in the enemy's capability to identify you and to respond to it. So a lot of times the front offense for future terrorism is some sort of criminal activity. To see what the response is from the criminal activity perpetrated by the country targeting the United States. And then the analysis goes back after that. They go, well, we can't go to that airport because they're pretty tight there, and we can't do banking over here. And then everything's adjusted to find the weak spots in the United States for the hits when they're going to come. Now, let's get back to Operation Jawbreaker. Gary Berntsen got a call. Gary put a team together and go destroy the Taliban and go find and kill Osama Bin Laden. How'd you get a phone call along those lines? You know, you're retired basically in Uruguay enjoying the beach, and it's, nope, going back into fight.
Actually, Gary was happy to get it. He goes, because he's been saying for years, you have to kill these guys. There's no way about it. And the CIA, as much as people like to think, does not go around killing people all the time. He says they have a directive. I forget what the directive code was, 12322.
Yeah.
12333, no assassinations.
Yeah, that. And he was saying...
No assassinations.
And he goes that they weren't allowed to do assassinations per whatever it says. But then after 9/11, they said, hey, go get that crazy guy, Gary Berntsen, who's been saying we need to kill these guys for years, and let's suit him up and go get him. And that's what happened. And that's the reason he got called into active duty. And there he is. And that's, they said, call him. He needs to go.
And by crazy, you meant the
In a good way crazy.
In a good way crazy.
Mashugana crazy.
Gary understands what I mean by this.
yes.
Oh, you're dead.
He called himself crazy. So.
What does it say on Jawbreaker? I can't read the cover of Operation Jawbreaker. What's it say on the top of
The attack on Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, a personal account by the CIA's key field commander, Gary Berntsen.
Yeah, it really is it's a thriller, but it's nonfiction. So what happened, folks, in terms of what's needed now to fight the ideological war? We're talking about 2001, October, November, and the very hot war, the kinetic war that Gary Berntsen, who we saw over the weekend, we'll have him on our show regularly. We've had him on in the past.
I find that man very frightening, Trento. Remind me not to come the day you have him, please.
Yes, you, Abdullah.
You
should
especially,
stay away,
Abdullah.
because even though
he'll take scalps,
you're
man.
not supposed to waterboard, and it's against the law and all of that. I think if he runs into you here,
Well, I tell you what,
we're gonna have a hard time.
And he actually did bring up the waterboarding. I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, because here's the thing: is before the CIA does anything, they have, and this is very important because this relates to what's happening today.
Excuse me one second. While he's explaining this, pull up the idiocy that the Democrats are releasing today regarding CIA's waterboarding activities.
Oh, the whole idiocy.
Yeah. This is treasonous stuff.
Now, understanding, and Gary went through the whole explanation how the whole CIA works, the different departments, and he goes, now, let me walk you through what happens. Like, for example, if we get the authorization to do waterboarding from our commanders, our field offices, what we have to do, we have to take that information and actually write up a bunch of different reports on it, and then take that information and actually physically walk it over to Congress, where people have to sit into a room and they say, well, listen, we are notifying you that we are doing waterboarding.
Nancy Pelosi.
And they have to sign off the document and sign it and say, yes, listen, Nancy Pelosi, we told you that we're going to be doing this.
And I believe Gary's characterization of Nancy Pelosi was, to quote him directly, "Liar, liar, pants on fire."
He says
That's a direct
that's
quote.
an
That's a
absolute
direct quote.
that nobody knew about this in Congress beforehand is an absolute 100% lie.
All right, what we're talking about, folks.
And also,
go ahead.
and one other thing about these presidential daily briefs that come out, which is also very important. There's a tremendous amount of work behind it that goes to give these presidential daily briefs. And our current president, and he also named our State Department, who also reads some of these. He goes, they completely ignore them, and the people that are in charge of oversight on these different levels are nothing but they seem like 22 and
12-year-old kids. He said,
12-year-old kids. He goes, they have completely clueless on what's going on internationally. It's management by crisis is what it is.
Well,
not crisis management by crisis.
When 9/11 hit, again, this was catastrophic for the West, for the United States. It was comparable to what happened yesterday, basically 71 years ago or so. Pearl Harbor, very, very, very similar, but with even more dramatic consequences. Well, when it hit in September 11th, 2001, and it's very interesting now, people are starting to come to young adulthood that we're not really in tune with what occurred, and they don't grasp it. And you can see the further we get away from these horrible events, the less impact they're having in the lives of Americans, which is very, very bad.
How about the absolute twisted narrative of somehow, since that date, that Muslims are somehow the victim of 9/11? If you want to talk about turning the narrative upside down.
Completely turned upside down. But, we gave George Bush a couple of months to get his act together, and he did very, very quickly. And before too long, there were a group of seasoned World War II, Cold War warriors meeting every single day to figure out how to fight this battle. There was a lot of debate going on, but these were people that paid the price in their own blood, in their own sweat, in their own tears, in their own sacrifice, who lived with dodging live fire, who fought in combat. These folks understood what was going on. These were the ones who were leading our national security response.
Right.
And still, Bush got it wrong on certain areas because of one of the guys that we had a whole series on, the Wizard of K Street, Grover Norquist,
Oh,
as
speaking of which,
personal advisor, advising him properly on the Muslim Brotherhood. But notwithstanding that, there was a cadre of very seasoned and solidified warriors developing a national security strategy. Conversely, today, we have a community organizer who's an anti-colonialist, anti-American, neo-Marxist, who hates the military, hates Israel, loves the Islamic world. That's a fact. So what's going to appear around him? Individuals with his same sort of worldview around him. And when he's so insecure as he is, you get a couple of high-powered women, and we've done shows on the women in Obama's life.
Valerie Jarrett, Samantha Powers.
Then their worldview is going to find its way into his public policy
Susan
on national
Rice.
security. And if that ever happens, folks, the world is going to be in a mess. The Middle East is going to be in flames. Oh, wait, isn't that what's going on?
That's what's happening, Tom.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's created.
That was a hard one to figure out, let me tell you.
Look, go ahead.
Let's get back to some lessons from Gary Berntsen in Jawbreaker. Everybody needs to go to Amazon.com, buy the book Jawbreaker. Gary Berntsen, Berntsen, Berntsen. And lesson number one is he got together a team of his guys, CIA guys, who understood the threat doctrine of Islam. If you want to be effective in fighting the ideological battles of Islam and the West, you've got to get a small group together. Those of you driving in your car, listening, you go, I want to do more. We watch your show, Tom, and you guys at United West and Act for America and all these various groups. You guys are doing great stuff. We can never do it. Yes, you can. You can do it, ladies and gentlemen. All you need is a person with the drive and the vision to accomplish something. That's a person who's the catalyst to get things going.
Yes.
Then go find one like-minded person. And the two of you just start meeting saying, what skill set do we have? What capabilities do we have to contact others? And today it's so easy to contact. You can contact me within 2 seconds. And what needs are in our immediate area here? Well, we've got a hardcore green movement here that seems to be joining with the Muslim Student Association on campus, and nobody's doing anything, and the Jewish students are getting beat up, and the Christian students are getting beat up metaphorically. That's an area of work. Oh, over here we have a Democrat Party that is pushing, hard leftist candidates for next year. Maybe we can do something there. Go out and look for something. Gary got together a team of competent people. All you need is one or two to start. Then the next step, after they got a basic plan together, they said we need competent people to help us do this. Guess where they went? Remember where they went to?
The CIA, where did the CIA go to? Well, they got special forces guys, they got FBI guys, and they got Afghans that were opposed to the Taliban.
On the U.S. side, they went out and got whoever they needed.
Right.
We need a communications guy. Well, call that guy. Oh, I got a good guy over here. You go through all that. Well, he's a sergeant now in Force Recon Marines. No, he isn't. He's with us now.
Right. They just what agency or what department, which division of the Department of Defense didn't matter. It was getting the best people together. It wasn't political next guy up within the company, within the agency. It was actually get it done. Unlike what goes on in Washington, within the Beltway today, which is strictly how long you've been there, who do you know, and how much money do you got.
So Berntsen streamlined the selection of his team, and now tactically, you want to accomplish something, folks. You can go say, okay, there's a bunch of bad guys over there, I got to go fight them, or you can see a group that's working against them, and you can build a coalition. And what Gary Berntsen did, he went and built a coalition. A collaborative effort with the Northern Alliance that was already fighting the Taliban. They knew the country, they knew the landscape, they knew the politics, they knew the geography, they knew the philosophy, they knew the theology, they knew Islam, they knew the tribal issues, they knew the landscape on the ground. They simply didn't have the capability, technologically or militarily or financially, to destroy the Taliban. So when you're planning your battles in your little communities, whether it's a school board battle, whether it is a university battle, whether it is a national security issue you're working on, try to find like-minded people already fighting and come and be a force multiplier to them. We're giving you the strategies for grassroots activism. Let me stop there. Your thoughts?
It's a very similar strategy. I mean, on our side, we can do that here on organizing our ground troops. It's very similar.
The Democrats have been doing it politically for
very
years. They're light years ahead of us.
Those suckers are very good. Now, once he got in, he goes, okay, we got to be like them. We got to look like them. We got to sound like them. And if you spoke Pashtun or Urdu or any of these
Farsi,
any of these Southeast Asian languages, you were front and center. It's very similar. If you're going into a particular culture and you have folks that understand that culture, you find those guys. So Gary did that. And then you got to bring some sort of, you got to come with a plan. We had the plan. The plan was to destroy the Taliban very, very quickly and kill Osama Bin Laden.
Wait, what happened to hearts and minds?
That wasn't the plan on day one. That was not the plan whatsoever. That developed with the coin theory of counterintelligence.
Because
warfare.
Gary doesn't strike me as a hearts and minds kind of individual.
No, Gary Berntsen's not hearts and minds. Though, believe it or not.
No, he actually is on some levels.
Yeah,
he really is.
He won the hearts and minds of the Northern Alliance, people who are on his side, to go out and kill the bad guys. To win the hearts and minds of the Taliban was a waste of time. You're not going to win the hearts and minds of the Taliban.
Because they're heartless and mindless.
So by application, you have to then go and come with a plan to whatever you're going to be doing on your grassroots activism. How many days until the election? Anybody know?
701.
701 days until the 8th of November, 2016. And that is really going to be, I hate to, every election, this is the end of the world, this is the end of the world. This one really is the end of the world because Obama took us, the United States, that was starting to get shaky financially and militarily, and he has taken us down so many levels. Economically, we are not doing great economically, folks. It's a house of cards, and militarily, we're
And that's
in the
another
worst
thing,
shape
Gary.
we've been in since World War II. So now, if another Democrat comes in and follows those policies, which they got to, they're going to be beholden to the Democrats that want stuff, don't want to win principled wars. Then get ready to look like Greece or Italy or the UK or one of those situations. It's going to be pretty crazy.
So what else are we talking about today?
We can talk about. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up also at the meeting today was another fantastic group that was also there, which was Concerned Veterans for America.
Right, who Gary is their national policy person.
That's
Concerned
right.
Veterans for America.
Yes, we do want to bring them up and mention them because we do have their website up here on your webpage on our screen. And a fantastic organization. And they really, assisted in getting out the vote down in North Carolina and made the difference down there as far as that election is concerned.
Up there.
Up there. We're down up there. And also, we talk about the Louisiana election. You look at it down there. We have the senator, who's more concerned with veterans issues than the other candidate was, Mary Landrieu. I mean, a fantastic organization who just knocks it out of the park wherever they go.
Yeah, CVA is great, and their upfront guy. You know who their upfront guy is? You see him all the time on.
Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
It's on Fox all the time.
Yep.
Pete's on Fox. He's a good friend of ours, combat vet, and he is the front man for this great organization. They got tremendous people. Gary's a national security advisor. Why are we telling you about Concerned Veterans for America? Well, in California, there's 2.3 million veterans. Here in Florida, there's a few less, which makes sense, retirement
Right.
stake. And we got about 1.9 million. Almost 2 million of the 19 million people are veterans. And guess what? If you're a veteran, you're above voting age. You're at least 18 years old. And these people vote disproportionately, veterans. Veterans vote at a very high level, the percentage of veterans there are that vote. One of the problems, though, how are many of them voting?
Democrat.
They're voting for Obama.
Right.
Because they're at a point now where health care is a greater concern for many of them than fighting Muslim jihadis or somebody else. Yeah, that's better. No wonder why I couldn't hear me.
Yeah,
you can just tell me. Say, Tom, your thing is fine.
Tom, your thing is messing up. It really doesn't sound right when I say that. Tom, your thing
Your
is
thing
messing
is there. But many of the veterans in Florida are in their 80s and 90s, 70s, and their arms are hurting, their backs are hurting, they got prostate, this, that. And Obama has scammed these folks thinking Obamacare was the solution to their problem. It's just created further problems, particularly here in Florida. With I was talking to a friend the other day who had a great policy at a large company down here, and now the new policy they're paying higher premiums for less coverages, more deductibles. And I said, why? They said our company had to adjust, a very large company, thousands of employees. We had to adjust for the impact that hit us with Obamacare. The costs went up because there's a transfer of dollars to people that don't produce. It's very simple.
And also, you not only do you have that, you get places like New York. I mean, the taxes get raised on when they get an idea where they have to punish people who they don't agree with and how they want to, overtax them, and then they become dependent upon those tax, like New York and their cigarettes. That's a great example. It's a perfect, and how this eventually relates into a death of a black man. Now all of a sudden it's the cops' fault to do it, which is a completely erroneous scenario. Give you an idea.
Wait, what are you talking about? You talking about Garner?
Talk about Garner, right?
All right. What's the tax deal? Let me get everybody up to date here at 45 minutes after 4 o'clock on Monday, Manic Monday. Today, folks, Tom Trento, your host, WSBR Radio. That's 740 on your dial, on the UnitedWest.org Internet TV. You can go to teapartycommunity.com. And what we do on Mondays, we kind of just bounce around a little bit, giving you a feel for our view on several issues. We met with Gary Berntsen, former station chief, Central Intelligence Agency. He drew a few examples from his phenomenal Operation Jawbreaker, going after Osama Bin Laden, how to organize on the ground. If you missed that first part of our show, go to unitedwest.org, pick it up. We're also looking at the impact of the veterans here and right now the chances are by folks watching or driving, 20-30% of you are veterans in the state of Florida that are listening to us. You've been scammed by Obama's Obamacare deal, where you're just less coverage, more money. We're here to alert you of the next 701 days. You cannot be voting for the Democrats. They are now going to try to get millions of illegals, criminal people. Well, they're not criminals, Tom. They haven't been convicted. They're criminals.
That was an act of love, man. Ask Jeb Bush.
And they're going to have to pay for that somehow, and it's going to be increased taxes, all of that. And one of the illustrations for how the left uses taxes to control that has blowback is this situation that occurred sadly I think it was in Staten Island. What was it all about, Mark?
Well, it was about a guy who was selling, according to police reports, was selling loosies, which is mean individual cigarettes, because the price of a pack of cigarettes in New York City is roughly right around $15. Just to give you
what?
$15 a pack. So
wait a minute. Let's get this right at 47 minutes after 4 o'clock. Are you telling me a pack? You mean a little square, a whole box?
20 sticks.
20 sticks, right?
Not a carton.
No.
I remember
I
when
don't
a
smoke
carton was
cigarettes.
$10.
I don't smoke cigarettes. Smoke a
Yeah,
couple
well,
cigars.
to give you, it is the highest.
A pack of cigarettes. How many cigarettes in a box?
20.
20 in a 20 in a pack, and you get 10.
$15. What's that come down to per piece?
About 75 cents a
a
cigarette.
Right.
So if you're selling, you said it's a loosie. That's
They call them loosies, right?
Like my dog.
how much do you pay for a loosie? I mean,
like $1.
what's you're paying more?
Well, yeah, because the guys selling them individually, and the people are buying them individually.
So you don't have to
Wholesale,
go buy-
retail.
So you don't have to go buy a whole box. You
Whole
can't
pack,
afford
right?
just one.
Yeah, I mean, a whole pack.
I
whole
don't
box.
have $15, but I
So,
need
but-
a cigarette.
But here it is. But here it is. It's illegal to do that in New York City, because
It's illegal to sell a cigarette.
well, illegal to sell individual cigarettes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you can smoke the reefer.
Okay.
And so now $4.35 of that is New York state tax, and $1.60 is actually New York City tax.
That's
so-
$6 in taxes.
$6 in taxes that the state is losing if you don't, if you start selling cigarettes individually.
Like the
Well, no,
black
they're not
market.
losing it if you're buying a pack of cigarettes. That
No. So the guys are getting the cigarettes from out of state.
There you
whatever.
go.
North
There
Carolina
you
or
go.
something.
Okay, well, but the bigger thing that the Garner case was about was selling. He was selling loosies, and the police were cracking down on that. Well, my brother, who's an ex-cop for 20 years, brought up a good point. He says, you can't get 4 cops to go do anything unless it's ordered from above from somebody.
all of them in a coordinated fashion.
All in a coordinated fashion. You don't have a group of 4 cops trying to break down on selling individual cigarettes. They got more important things to do. Something like that order had to come from high above to say, go crack down on these guys, as far as their...
we're green there.
yeah, I know, I see it, I know.
Turn green.
Yeah, we have to crack down on these guys because of... Well, you go explain the story. I can straighten this out.
Well, no, I think I'm understanding it. Your brother was talking about the fact that New York has so much going on. There was a detail there, 3 or 4 cops, several of them were undercover. They got important stuff to do. Why are they worrying about somebody selling?
There's
loosey
rapists, murderers,
cigarettes?
real thieves, bank
Stuff
robbers.
going on.
There's all sorts of stuff going on, and these guys are worried about someone selling loose cigarettes. And then again, it all boils down to the wanting to make sure that no one skirts the cigarette tax.
Well, 2 things. I also heard that possibility that the cigarettes he was selling, I think he's got a pretty extensive criminal record, the fellow that unfortunately died. But I heard that the cigarettes could have been laced with drugs too, so it was really a drug bust more than a
I
cigarette.
can't say that either way.
That's not the official report.
Well,
though,
I heard that at this point. I mean, maybe the grand jury has found that out. We haven't seen the facts. But let's go just with the tax issue.
right,
So if this is a tax evasion issue,
right.
then clearly that's going to be something out of the mayor's office. You know,
Yeah.
because de Blasio's a tax guy.
They said, why
He's a
don't they send the
communist.
IRS or ATF in?
You know, about alcohol, firearms, and tobacco.
Right.
Maybe-
Why is that local cops working on what should be an ATF or an IRS issue?
Very interesting. But this issue raises a very interesting point. Not so much. So the death of Garner is an unfortunate situation. Needs to be looked into.
It's unfortunate.
But I want to know now. You know, inquiring minds want to know: did the Mayor de Blasio's office direct the chief of police, commissioner of the New York Police Department, to start cracking down on those selling loosies, you know, loose cigarettes? That would be very interesting if there's a written
And
order
what a total
saying,
waste of time that is.
crack
you know?
down.
So basically, what we're saying is the communist agitator mayor is responsible, one or two steps removed from causing
From
the
the
death that
confrontation.
he's so irate over.
If there's a smoking gun document saying crack down on these people, which is your brother's theory, Mark. So we're
Yeah.
floating that as
Well, it's not a theory. You can't get four cops to do anything without
well,
orders from above.
I mean, yeah, we have to
You know,
look
come
at it. It's a
on.
theory at this point.
No, it's not.
I will just say it's a theory, but it's something that needs to dispassionately be analyzed. Not, yeah. And here's the joke of all of this, and here's the waste of time, folks, with many of these issues. You got anybody remember? It starts with an O. It was a movement about 3 years ago.
Occupy!
And it was going to change the world. They were going to change the world.
yeah.
The Occupy what?
Occupy
By-
Wall Street started, and then it was Occupy every city on earth, and then it was co-opted by our
Well,
good
what was it
friend-
when it started? I mean, what
It was
seems
the
like
one percenters. It was against Wall Street and the 1%.
And it had its 15 minutes of fame. It flared up.
It was
And also-
more. It had
and
about
also
2 months
cared-
of filth, STDs, fecal matter, urine, and attacking cops in Manhattan.
And also the same players who were involved in the Ferguson were also involved in this Occupy movement. You had the same type of faces pop up. You have CARE, another one that popped up at the time, started sponsoring the Occupy movement.
Dream
That was-
Defenders.
That
all
was
this-
the point. The point I was going to make was they've been on a hiatus for a while. The Occupy
I know.
And maybe they had to go get real jobs. They had to cut the grass. Your mother said, "You want to sleep in our basement? You got to cut the damn grass." You know.
Actually, Tom, they did not have much of a break. What they did, while they weren't being the Occupy movement, they were the anti-Israel movement all summer.
Yeah, but that's not as much fun as laying down in the street and and all this sort of stuff. So they're back. It's
They're
just
back.
the Occupy people
It's another-
are back.
exactly.
And look, this is
And
they're
a
using
lot of
Michael Ferguson to they're using the Michael Ferguson tragedy.
Oh, Michael Ferguson?
Yeah, they're using the Michael Ferguson.
Oh, don't you mean Michael Brown, Tom?
No, I mean Michael Ferguson.
Ferguson?
What would ever make you call him Michael Ferguson?
You mean Michael Ferguson in
No, I mean
in
Michael-
Missouri?
No, don't you mean Michael
Michael
Brown
Fergu-
in Ferguson,
I don't
Missouri?
know. Let's go to the expert to find out
who it is.
who
yeah.
died and what happened in St. Louis, Missouri.
I thought we had our expert ready to roll. He was on. He was ready to roll, and now he's all silent.
Check this out. No, this guy's never silent. Listen carefully to one of society's giants, as he was recently on the news, as recently as a couple hours ago, and they asked the Reverend Jesse Jackson about what's going on with the Garner situation and the protests all over the place, and he waxed eloquently, though I've followed Jesse Jackson for many years, and his elocution, the clarity in which he speaks, is decreasing daily. I think he may have some physical problems.
I think
or
I'm having
stroke or
some
something.
physical problems.
But we heard him on Al Jazeera, of all places. I tweeted it out earlier. In referring to the situation in Missouri, he referred to the decedent, the dead boy, as Michael Ferguson.
Yeah,
He
you'll
goes-
have to take our words for it on
He
that.
goes, well, Michael Ferguson, it was wrong what was done to Michael Ferguson. And look, we all have slips of the tongue. But Jesse Jackson does not have the right at that level to be the race-baiting provocateur that he is. He doesn't have the right to make a mistake when talking about a poor individual that he's trying to raise money off of to run his scam rainbow coalition continually. But that's what these guys do. I also understand that the Gardner family, the wife of the fellow who died through the chokehold, it wasn't really a chokehold, but through the actions and the involvement with the police in Staten Island, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the family is incensed with Al Sharpton. Now, is there trouble in a brewing in the hood over there, or what?
Yeah. In fact, the mother and aunt were very perturbed. Essentially, Al Sharpton had tried to co-opt the Eric Garner tragedy. We'll call it a tragedy for now. He appointed himself the eulogist without ever speaking to
The eulogist.
the person that was going to give
Did he
the
use that
eulogy.
term?
Yes.
Al Sharpton.
No. Actually, I believe it was someone in the Garner family used that term. I think that term's a little bit above Al. But there was absolute outrage in the Gardner
But he
family
positioned himself.
to hijack this event as another way to incite the street and raise money, being the scumbag
Al
that
Sharpton.
he is.
Now,
Al Sharpton.
we first just talked about Jesse Jackson, who referenced Michael Ferguson improperly instead of Michael Brown. And folks, these people ought not be listened to. These are really low-life individuals that are simply running a scam, using unfortunate situations, not for the sake of black relations and all of that. We do not have a police problem in the United States of America. We do not have a police problem.
Right.
We've got a problem with a few policemen. That's fine. These are the exception to the rule. How do I know that? I can prove it to you in 30 seconds. Envision one day in America. This is 30-second test. Envision one day in America where every cop lays down their weapon and takes a day off.
Well, that's
and says,
Charles Barkley's
folks,
theory.
you're on your own. Have at it. Have a wonderful life. Don't call us if there's an accident. Don't call us if your house is broken into. Don't call us if you've been robbed. Don't call us today. We're a problem. Solve it yourself. Imagine the chaos that would erupt as a result.
Tom, it's a good point. It's exactly what Charles Barkley brought up. And he's been...
What did he say? I didn't hear what he said.
Oh, he said, if he says, I love the cops. And if, to profile black people sometimes is okay. It's necessary because you know what? A lot of the black people commit a lot of the crimes. Sometimes you have to.
Oh, that's racist.
Well, this is Charles Barkley saying this.
He a racist.
And he says, if you remove the cops from these neighborhoods, you want to see the wild, wild west happen again?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and the funny thing about it was the MSNBC reporter, they were just all gas, about the whole
With
situation.
Barkley, the black guy saying,
oh my God, how can you be saying such things, And he says with the Eric Garner thing, he says was excessive force used? He goes, yeah. He goes, but sometimes excessive force happens when you resist arrest. He goes, if the guy had just said you're being arrested, not to resist, then he wouldn't have been put in a chokehold in the first place. Once again, going back to the responsibility of your actions. And that's what his whole point was. We as a black community have to have responsibility, personal responsibility for our own actions. And that's when people going crazy.
The personal response, again, Michael Brown, not Michael Ferguson, Jesse. Michael Brown made 5 or 6 mistakes and basically invited his own demise.
Right.
Gardner, a little different. When the police pursued him and got him on the ground, and then a couple of minutes, I know we're not going to be able to.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
A couple of minutes of when he was saying, I can't breathe. At that point, they probably could have released him a little bit. that can be. I mean, the grand jury looked into all of this. Maybe the federal grand jury will look into it. But tomorrow, because we got to go right now, and remember, we'll be back at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow, we're going to look at what happened in Syria over the weekend. Looks like the Israelis got a little adventurous, but they're not saying it was them, and we don't know who it may be. But somebody
and also
blew up some weaponry. At the
and also,
Syrian
there's
side.
some really big developments coming out with Louis Gohmert on the immigration bill. He's exposing that. You
We
talking
will hit
about? You
that
think
tomorrow.
the Democrats
Right
are
now-
a problem? Look at the Republican Party too.
We got a lot of stuff going on. We'll see you tomorrow. Watch the show, UnitedWest.org. Tom Trento saying goodbye for everybody here at the United West. Bye-bye.